Israel is the biggest predator in the Middle East, both because of the extent to which they've been able to get away with these international crimes. It's not just the genocide that we saw unfold before our eyes over the last couple of years, but also the crime of apartheid, the decades-long occupation. So the reality of the violations of international law that Israel has been able to get away with in our region because of US support means that Israel is by far the greatest predator in the region. So I think in some ways this most recent conflict, the Israeli attack on Iran together with the US, and then the escalation of Israel's military operations in Lebanon, because they never actually stopped, even after the 2004 ceasefire, have been helpful in showing what these predator states feel is possible in our region. And what's happened in Lebanon since March 2nd is the best illustration of how zero accountability for Israel's war in Lebanon in 2024 and for everything it's done in Gaza can lead to an emboldened Netanyahu, who then decides he wants to finish the job and re-escalate and to escalate his military offensive on Lebanon with violence that was intense and widespread in terms of civilian impact, truly in a way that we didn't see at the start of 2024 of the escalation of the conflict. They were able on March 2nd, because Netanyahu knew that he had Trump's support this time, they were able to go in full force, order half of Beirut to evacuate, issue these vague evacuation orders, causing mass uproar and harm to civilians because they didn't know where to go, and thereby giving themselves a carte blanche to commit airstrikes in many residential areas. So I think Lebanon is actually the best illustration of what happens when there isn't any cost, there isn't any accountability, and when Netanyahu feels he now has Trump's support. I mean, in a way, the ceasefire in Lebanon agreed in 2000 and in late 2004 was agreed in part because of US pressure, as was the ceasefire in Gaza in October 2025. Yet this time, because Trump joined Netanyahu in the attacks on Iran, we are where we are today, which is, of course, there's a very fragile ceasefire. Airstrikes are actually continuing in Lebanon to date. And we've heard the Israelis say that they don't plan to withdraw from southern Lebanon and that they want a buffer zone. So Lebanon is from a human rights perspective and a humanitarian law perspective, is truly one of the countries where we're most worried about right now in terms of what's to come next.